World Wrestling Federation. For over 50 years, the revolutionary force in sports entertainment.
Hey, what are you talking about? Hey, you people don't want to go in there. There's decadence going on in there, ladies and gentlemen. There's sexual activities going on in there. There's violence. There's crime. What is this? What is this television? Shotgun Saturday night. Who's that good for? That's a disgrace. Shotgun Saturday night should be banned. It should be banned. New York City should be banned. Matter of fact, shut up. Saturday night should be banned, ladies and gentlemen.
Squares off against Crush of the Nation of Domination.
And we'll take a real good look at the Mexican Minis when Mascarita Sagrada takes on Mini Vader. Oh, yeah.
And the bizarre one, Goldust squares off against the Middle East Sultan. All tonight on Shotgun Saturday night. Yes, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the premiere of Shotgun Saturday night. Vince McMahon along with the Everybody Bakers and Sonny, who's going to be rocking a house tonight.
You know I'm ready to rock tonight, Vince. I got my Gene Simmons boots and everything going on tonight.
Yeah, well, in the squared circle, we have a confused Godwin family, and why not? I mean, for the first time ever, we have a mixed tag team matchup.
Oh, my.
Yeah, we have men against women, so to speak. We have actually hot farmers against nuns.
Oh, my God. Wait, I can't say that, but that's crazy.
To clarify the situation, let's take it down to Todd Pettengill. Todd.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to get a closer look here, Vince. I really can't tell, but I'll tell you what. In a city that's not supposed to be shocked or surprised by anything, these people can't believe what they're seeing. How about this? Man, I haven't seen anything like that in my life. I'll tell you this much. We do know they're from a Tibetan order in the Himalayas, if you would believe. Now, one of them is Sister Angelica, and the taller of the two, Mother Smucker.
Mother what?
What'd you say?
Mother Smucker.
Wow.
Earlier on today, our camera crews actually caught the flying nuns coming out of St. Patrick's Cathedral. Our camera crews caught it. You won't believe it. Watch.
And, yes.
There they are.
St. Patrick's Cathedral, all right. And, Sister Angelica and Mother Smucker with a name like that, she must be good. I don't know. Tag team action, ladies and gentlemen, kicking things off. Yes, right here on the premiere of Shotgun Saturday night. Here we go. Sister Angelica.
Check this out. Those are the most violent nuns I've ever seen.
Unbelievable. Look at this. Starting things off, Sister Angelica and Mother Smucker going to work with the hog farmers.
This is the Pro Wrestling Reflection Podcast with your host, the Professor Chalbelo Veracruz.
What a run!
Mr. Wonderful Tommy Wonder.
And I will take the powers of those that have no fear!
And the prodigal one, JB.
The queen, yeah. The cream of the crop.
Now it's time to go back in time in the time machine.
American dream! Dusty Rhodes! Too sweet!
The living legend, Bruno Sammartino.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. To be the man, you gotta beat the man. Woo! Look at this! He's I don't believe it!
What is going on there, Reflection Knights? What is going on there to the Vitoites, the Hami Knights, and always the probationary solitary confinement PWCS? Jimmy, you know what? You're even below solitary confinement, man. You're even below 24-hour lockdown. I'm gonna have to get the essays. I'm gonna have to get the Aryan Nation. I'm gonna have to get the Brotherhood to beat you down. Not in no Diddy way, but just to beat you down to get those shows back on the PWC network, man. You was good. Now you're slipping. You know, I know it's a one-man show. I understand. I totally understand. I'm a one-man show here. I'm supposed to, promote this show. I'm supposed to do everything, and then TW's just talent. What the hell are you holding? Oh, God.
It's my old setup that made my face up here instead of down here.
Oh, Jesus. I thought it was a Diddy toy. But anyway, neither here nor there, Reflection Knights. But in the diatribe, Jimmy, I love you, man. But again, we gotta get the jailmates to just beat you down. We gotta get those shows back up. But we're not talking about solitary confinement. We're not talking about 24-hour lockdown. We are talking about the PWR podcast here at the Hami Media Group at Podbean.com. And we're going back to what we do best, what we've been known for in the last 8 years. We're probably the only podcast that hasn't reached the elusive 200 because we got other shows, we got other subjects, we got other platforms. But we're on 185 for Donnie Day 1, so you can catch up and enjoy it live when we hit the elusive 200. Are we gonna do a big celebration, Rick James style? Are we gonna have the hookers, the blow, and the coke? Maybe not. I don't know. Are we gonna have guest appearances? Are we gonna have like video, promos from the 12 that rise strong, like Christopher Paul, Bruce Windman, Greenpeace, Phyllis Scott Wood, even Donnie Day 1. Maybe he'll do a 2020 Quattro promo, and he won't even hear it until 2027. But again, neither here nor there. But it is PWR Podcast. It is the Hami Media Group of Podbean.com, and I am the host with the most. I am the most glorious man in the IWC, YWC, and probationary PWC punditry. The only objective man in this social media conundrum. The only objective man in this political spectrum. Fuck Biden, fuck Trump, fuck Vivek, fuck Jamal Bowman, fuck AOC, fuck, who else am I fucking... Fuck Pelosi, fuck Trump, fuck DeSantis, fuck them all. It's all about
twice.
Well, maybe Melania, so I got to do it. I got to get back there, so you got to do it right. So But anyway, the only objective man here, and that's the Professor Chabert Cruz. And I'm not here alone. No. I am here with my brother from another mother, the conservative liberal conservative. Dum-dum doing idiots on the iron stomach one, Dr. Frickenstein, and the undisputed, undeniable Detroit Rock City Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world. And this is the motherfucker that keeps looking around every time I'm introducing him. He's never prepared after the introductions. He's like, hold on, I got to do something 1 second, but I'm doing the show. We do it live. Woo! Tommy Wonder, how you doing, my friend?
I'm fat, I'm old, I'm tired, and I got this facial hair from the white trash bash in which one of my buddies got carted out in an ambulance. You believe that?
What the hell was he drinking?
He smoked weed with strangers. That's what he did. And this motherfucker tried to tip the nurses when they were letting him out of the hospital when his cousin came and got him.
Then that was some good weed then.
Yeah, we're gonna get him in rehab.
He felt good, and he felt loose, and all that good stuff. But you know what? For the 12 that rise strong, we got a little bit of a, we want to give a little bit of an announcement too. For the first time in the history of the PWR podcast, in our 8-year plus history, for the first time in the coming months, closer to the fall, that's myself and Tommy Wonder, are actually going to meet live. And we're going to hang out. No, we're not going to do a PWR podcast in one location. No, we're not going to do that. We are going to have fun. We're going to take the week off. We're going to enjoy each other's company, no Diddy. But we are going to hang out. See, you gotta smile. You're smiling, but I got to tell these people the right thing.
You forget Big Ray. Big Ray's going to be there too.
Of course, Big Ray's going to be there. But I'm just saying.
You made it sound like a date.
Forget about Ray. It's all about you and me. We're meeting each other one-on-one, live, and in living color, in public, if you will. But I just wanted to give that announcement to all the Reflectionites. We are going to meet each other for the first time in a long time, and anytime. I thank Skype. I thank digital media. I thank, Elon Musk. I thank Al Gore for the technology, TW. But I can't dap you. I can't give you that bro hug and all that stuff. And I can't give you that pound, no diddy. And I can't, salute to you with our drinks. But again, I'm very excited. And I just want to share it with the Reflectionites. Anything you want to say?
Hey, we've been talking about it for not 8 years, because 8 years ago we were on the fence about each other. But once we got rid of Travis, once we tossed him out, once we tossed JB out, and it was just down to you and me and Big Ray behind the scenes. Big Ray, it's becoming like a perpetual thing. He's supposed to have moved by now to Florida, but he is going to move to Florida one day. So I had to get to New York City, which you're coming in from Jersey. So really we're catering to Big Ray. We could have went to New Jersey minor league baseball game if they got him there. But we're going to go. You guys are helping me check off something that wasn't even on my bucket list. We're going to go to Yankee Stadium, and we're going to watch a Yankees game. They're going to pummel the Pirates, which not to be confused with the Pirates who hang out in the DMs. What the hell is that? Is that a ghost?
No, it's cloudy here in Bombay, New Jersey. So, the clouds go in and out and the sun's coming in and out.
The Pirates that slide into your DMs are butt Pirates. We're going to watch them play the Pittsburgh Pirates, which is almost the same thing if it's Pittsburgh. But if one of you 12 are from Pittsburgh, I'm sorry for you. But we're going to hang out. I'm going to come in on the 27th, and we're going to leave on the 30th. Me and my buddy Jeremy, and then you and Big Ray, and then we got to get Billy Ray involved. We got to get Track involved. We got to get as many people there as possible. So if any of them other dudes, maybe Colin wants to drive in from D.C., maybe Vickery, I don't even know how to say his damn name, but
Vickery.
Rick can come up from Cleveland or Cincinnati, where the hell he's hanging at. Try to get JB to hop on the plane.
He should have went from Cleveland to go to Detroit. That'd been an easier trip.
Well, we had talked about maybe bumping into each other at a wrestling show in Ohio, a war show or something, but I haven't been to one in years. So we'll make that happen too. But yep, I'm going to go see. It's so funny because when I made whenever I book something for a concert or something as big as this, I always write whatever it is, put them on the list, right? So I'm going to SummerSlam, and the day after SummerSlam, me and my buddy Jason are going to see Cleveland versus Baltimore. And I wrote on Facebook, going to see the Indians against the Orioles. And so, of course, a bunch of people are like, he said Indians, blah, 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 blah. I will always say Indians. And as a matter of fact, I will be wearing a Cleveland Indians jersey that I got the day David Justice got traded there, because my buddy hooked me up because he couldn't get me a Braves jersey, but he got it. Same way I became a Capitals fan. Oates got traded there. I got a Capitals jersey. And when David Justice got traded to Cleveland, I got a Cleveland jersey. So what happens? WWE is putting up blimp cams, and right on the damn scoreboard it says Indians. And then finally, after 2 weeks of that, I finally saw one of the neckbeards on the internet go, it might have been you, WWE using that stock footage because it still said Cleveland Indians instead of Guardians.
That wasn't me, because I don't care if they call the Indians or the Guardians. But isn't that hilarious? What, that they call the Guardians?
Old footage that says Cleveland Indians instead of Cleveland Guardians on the scoreboard.
Still history.
Unless it actually still does say Indians, which I doubt, because that would defeat the purpose of changing the name.
You can't erase Indian history. You could call it the Guardians if you want, but there's still who was in the World Series? The Indians, not the Guardians. Who won the championship in the 40s or the 50s? The Indians, not the Guardians. So again, it's neither here nor there. We're not.
And who's currently has the people that Indians logo represented? Whose family is trying to get them to change it back because it was a tribute to their relative? The Indians. It ain't trying to make them stay the Guardians. Guardians is the dumbest fucking name. No, I stand corrected. You know what my favorite sport is. The dumbest name is the fucking Utah Hockey Club. That's the dumbest name. Second to that is Guardians.
What are they called?
The Utah Hockey Club.
Oh, they haven't thought of a name yet. They're waiting. That's going to be one of those promotions that they're going to have.
They already had it. They had it narrowed down to 6 things, and then they said, Now they got jerseys and everything else to say the Utah Hockey Club. That's a soccer term. I don't like it. It's terrible. The colors are shit. Looks a lot like Seattle's. But that's number one worst. Cleveland Guardians is number 2, and number 3 is the Commanders. After that, they're all the same.
Well, you lied because you gave thumbs up to the Guardian name, but I just saw it on the thing. So
no, you
again,
didn't. No, you
yes,
didn't.
I did. Yes,
it's
I did.
only number 2 because the Utah Hockey Club.
You gave it a thumbs up on the video. That's all I'm just saying.
I don't even know what this video is you speak of.
I saw it. I saw it. It's right there. But anyway, neither here nor there. Let's get on with this episodic episode 185 TW. And I picked a doozy. And the reason I picked a doozy is because of this. You know, back in the 90s, Reflection Nights and TW, you know, it was a joy. It wasn't a, let's say, a chore. It wasn't work to stay up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning for the professor to watch ECW on the weekends, whether it was a Friday or a Saturday, whatever the case may be. So it was apropos because, again, Vince McMahon, you know, he gets a lot of shit, Reflection Nights, you know, pedophilia, raping, all that. I get that. I'm not trying to shove it away, but I'm talking about the wrestling part. What
do you mean pedophilia? What is this news? Is this breaking news?
It's been news all the time, but no, again, Geraldo broke it. It's all been done. But anyway, let's not go in that direction. Let's stick with the wrestling. We know that Vincent Kennedy McMahon Jr. TW is a stubborn motherfucker. We know that Vince had a vision in the 80s, and he took over the wrestling world with that vision. Cable TV, rocking wrestling, and it worked. And he had Hulkamania in his back pocket, and he was making millions and millions of dollars every year during that time. Something happened in the 90s. We all grew up. We got a little older. We got little pot bellies here and there. But again, we just got older, and it wasn't as cool as it was. But Vince McMahon thought he had a formula to recreate new, younger fans. He thought he had a formula to just keep trugging along with the same kind of vision. Larger than life, cartoonish type of shit. But the problem was the younger fans just wasn't grabbing at it. It wasn't the cool thing. And what happened was in the 90s, you was part of it with your explorations into the Midwest in the Midwest wrestling scene in the mid-90s. The professor was, you know, gifted ECW when he just channel surfed and just found it on MSG Network on a Sunday at 10 o'clock at night. So we were gifted with like a second breath of fresh air with the wrestling vision. Like it wasn't that one way. You had alternatives. TW was part of an alternative. I was part of the alternative and all that stuff. But Vince McMahon was lagging behind. He was lagging behind from Bischoff doing a little bit more reality based. He was lagging behind because the fans, the 18 to 34-year-old demographic that we were part of, we just didn't think WWE was cool anymore. We watched it. We were just keeping up with it, like updating ourselves. If YouTube was a thing, WWE would be in trouble in the 90s because we're like, oh, why watch Raw? We'll just watch whatever happened for the last 5 minutes of the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes. We're good. We got enough what we need. Because that 2 hours was a chore to watch a Raw back then. But Vince McMahon in 1997 Reflection Nights, I will say this, TW, and then you can retort back. He kind of saw the light, and he kind of admitted that his way was not working. So in essence, in January of 1997, January 4th, 1997, to be exact, Reflection Nights, he created a new concept for late night television, if you will, on on syndicated network television. If you could find it at 11 o'clock on a Saturday, he was going to do a new concept, Shotgun Saturday Night. And TW, the premise for it was it was supposed to be a little bit more risque. It wasn't going to be PG or PG-13. It was supposed to be rated R or rated X, supposedly. But the problem was, and we'll say, I'll give you some of the problems that the professor had with Shotgun Saturday Night, the concept. It's nice on paper. It's untapped potential, TW, on paper. The problem was, who was still in charge? Vincent Kennedy McMahon Jr. What say you, TW? Because again, You was part of that. You wanted to be part of that alternative. You was the alternative. Calavera, Cortez, Los Rudos. I was part of that alternative, being the ECW mark I was and watching WCW and the NW, all that stuff. Vincent Kennedy McMahon was lagging behind. He was making millions, give or take, but he was lagging behind on the popularity. What say ETW?
There's so much to say. But it's ironic that at this time, there's 3 people on this show that I had just interacted with. One of them was my buddy, D'Lo Brown, and he had just first he went to Smoky Mountain, and when he went to Smoky Mountain, I filled in for him for Les Thatcher down in Kentucky, and that was the show I did with the Headbangers, who got in trouble for spitting on a kid's program and ripping it up, which, like, they thought someone was going to give them a new program. Well, whoever sold that ain't Vince McMahon.
Wait. The Headbangers did the Hak Tui?
Oh, dude. Yeah, it was ugly. It was ugly. And lucky for them, they signed with WWE not long after that. This is probably 96 when that happened. And then they got signed. I want to say they were doing Smoky Mountain too. The Headbangers.
No, Smoky Mountain was gone in 96.
Okay, then it was then that's what it was.
They were just in the indies. They were just in the
independents. They were either already signed or were about to be, and the whole spitting thing that happened, which I wouldn't even know about it if I wasn't there, because I'm not even sure if you know about it. But they were so afraid that it was going to make Vince not sign them that they were just we're so sorry. But they were trying to live the gimmick. They didn't want to break kayfabe. So when the kids saw them in the hall,
I hear you, but you know what? The beauty of not having social media, the beauty of not having a cellular phone, no one knew. So it's just word of mouth. So go ahead.
So this show is them and D'Lo are on there. So I'm right in the middle of all that stuff back in 97, 96. As Los Rudos is soaring, if you will. Actually, Los Rudos, by then, we were still around, but I was doing my own thing in Lima and going wherever I could with that crew, which was D'Lo, Crusher Crying, and Casey Thunder. And this show reminds me, it's just something I didn't think was possible. I mean, I remember it. I don't know if you picked the Flying Nuns because I mentioned the Flying Nuns last week, or if you were already going to pick the first episode to begin with, because the 2 things it was famous for are the Flying Nuns and Marlena popping a top. And so it did something I didn't think was possible. I remembered it, but I didn't remember it this bad. And it made ECW episode 1 with the zombie seem better. And that's tough to do. And what it reminded me of was tapping into the Saturday Night's Main Event thing. So he's not really quite letting go of his way by thinking Saturday night, late night. Someone's going to hear it and think Saturday Night's Main Event, and they're going to watch it. But also trying to be ECW-like without even being close to ECW. It was just, if anything, it was crude. And I hated I mean, obviously we watched an old video, but I'm sure it didn't look good live when we watched it back in 97. But it's horribly shot. It's horribly. I mean, the best thing about it is Sunny, and I forgot how hot she truly was until watching this. And
it's funny. It's funny you say about the production, all that stuff. Again, Reflection Nights, to give you the visual as best as we can. It's like me and TW can understand that ECW. I'm going to use ECW, the ECW arena and the bars and clubs that they did on the national scale of their tours. TW was dimly lit, gritty, and all that stuff. But if it was a good gritty, it just felt raw and real.
It was viewable. It was watchable.
And it was watchable. It was viewable. But WWE has a standard, Reflection Nights. WWE has one of the best production trucks in the country, if you will, and Kevin Dunn and all that stuff. But they did not know how to kind of like produce in dimly lit areas. And in the first episode, it was a nightclub. It was the Mirage nightclub on 57th Street and I believe 7th or 8th Avenue. I'm not too sure about the avenues part, but I know it was like 56th and 57th Street. But anyway, it's on Midtown and all that stuff, TW. But they chose to try to do the nightclubs. They chose, like you said, Vince McMahon, again, understood that he was behind in the times. But again, if you're going to take from ECW, you didn't have to you didn't have to bring the production truck to a nightclub. Could have just brought some handhelds, kind of give it a little bit of a gritty look. But again,
radio.
Well, whatever, guerrilla porn, whatever the case may be, Reflectionize. But with Vince McMahon in charge, he was trying to do 2 things. He was trying to be like he wanted to test the boundaries of the limits he could get away with at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Reflection Nights. But of course, he's got to do this weird comedy that didn't make no sense to anybody but himself, TW. That was the thing, was like, you understood what he was trying to do, but he's just so stubborn. Again, it's your own. If it's yours and it's your money, it's your vision. You know, it's like right now in today's standard Reflection Nights, and you know, TW's favorite promotion, the AEW. Tony Khan is struggling right now. Tony Khan, don't give me that face. Do not give me that face.
Oh yeah, why don't we fucking put the cherry on? And of all AEW, my absolute favorite is fucking Rampage. Go ahead.
Let me just again. Tony Khan is struggling with his vision right now. The viewership is at its lowest point right now, Reflection Nights. And Tony Khan is stuck in his own ways right now, TW. He loves to book matches, but he just doesn't love to book stories. Consistent, entertaining stories right now. So while the viewership is plummeting, you know, wrestling has ebbs and flows, TW. Just like Vince McMahon went through the downturns and he had to kind of like change with the times, eventually Tony Khan will change with the times or kind of revamp his vision. What say you, TW, about that? And then we'll get into this show.
Well,
you love to talk about AEW anyway. So I want to
well, I'm going to tell you what the problem is, right? So this is the difference right here. There's a line in the middle of my iPad right here. You're on this side, I'm on this side. Okay. So you talked about how Vince just couldn't, his shit wasn't working anymore. Well, since after the Attitude Era, obviously it's piping hot. We'll never have another one. But he finally did get it right. And even though he's gone now, they're still doing this. They went, so you said it best. In 93, we got older. We're cruising for chicks. We're hitting the bars. We might still dabble in the wrestling, but we don't talk about it. We don't talk about Bruno, right? And so what inevitably happened was they didn't replenish the stock, if you will. There was us that liked it since 84, and now we're 10 years older and we're getting out of it. They didn't make sure there was some little kid in 94 to carry the torch, right? And the reason is because they used the same people, or they went even more over the top ridiculous with stuff like on this show, the Sultan, all that stuff that kids don't like, you know. Doink the Clown was an anomaly. Like, it should have been mocked, but because he was a heel clown, it was liked until it wasn't anymore. AEW's problem is they book for them. And so what happens is, as them gets older and them decide to shave the neck and not have that beard on there, there's no one to replace them. You know what I mean? And if anything, what AEW is doing to me is, if they're trying to present it as real fight, they're chasing everyone to UFC where they can just watch a real fight. And you've got a lot of guys. Conor McGregor's kind of done, but the guys like Conor McGregor and the other guy that likes Trump, all these guys, you got character now. You got people driving tickets by being entertaining, but at the end of the day, they didn't go beat the shit out of each other, right? So you got AEW where they're trying to act like it's a sport and they don't do too many stories. And when they do them, they're so horrible because they let everybody say whatever they want to say. So just like their matches, everybody does the same spots in every single match almost. It's not that bad, but you know what I'm saying. They all say the same shit too. It's the inmates running the asylum. But what WWE finally
there's no originality. There's no individuality.
There's no difference between match A and match 5. It's just the same match over and over and over again with a different guy doing the flips. And I know it's a harsh criticism for people to accept, but that's what it is. And the reason they have a hard time accepting it is because they like that. And that's great. And that's why they die and live with it. But at the end of the day, it's not sustainable. And that's why you've gone from 1 million to 500,000. And if you don't do something different, you're going to even lose that, because especially, you can mock it all you want, Jim Cornette and everybody else. This Wyatt 6'6", whatever the hell they're going to call it, it's geared for people like that who like Aleister Black and The Undertaker, and they like that kind of stuff. They're coming. And Bray Wyatt, how can I forget Bray? They're coming hoping for that. If it flops, yeah, it's going to be terrible. But if it doesn't, that 500,000 is going to become even less because of what? Your favorite word, tribalism. People are going to feel like, fuck them, I'm watching this now, which is sad because we all should just watch everything. We should all just be happy if someone gives a shit to criticize it in a good way. But what Vince finally got right is, you got me, I'm 50 years old wearing this shirt, right? My kids know who Cody Rhodes is. They know who LA Knight, I don't know if they know LA Knight, but they know a lot of the people because they make it so that you'll watch it with your kids. You ain't watching AEW with your kids. And if you are, you're covering their eyes or their ears because everyone has to say shit, bastard, asshole, all this stuff. It's not family friendly. So now a kid can't watch it unless he's watching it when he's not supposed to or when he gets older. So you're not replenishing the stock. And WWE for the last 20 years, probably longer, has replenished the pond of fans. And
they've replenished they've replenished the stock, but also they've adapted with the business trends. Remember, if you're losing, wait, let me just say this. If you're losing cable viewers like AEW is, you got to gain somewhere else. You gain it with social media, you gain it with the YouTubes, you gain it in other platforms. And that's what WWE, and that's what I've always said, and TW, you can attest to this. I've always said Vince is the king of adaptability for his brand and his business. Whatever happens, if he gave up on pay-per-view.
He was until he wasn't. But the thing that Triple H and Nick Khan, I guess, is involved in it, the difference now that's making them they're probably not even peaking it. That's how big they are right now. And then you got UFC and them together as opposed to taking shots at each other, and you're cross-branding and you're putting NXT shows on in the UFC training center. It's the sky is the limit and then some. But what Triple H does that Vince McMahon never did. Vince McMahon almost pushed people away by doing things out of spite. The Rock and Cody and Roman situation is a perfect example of what's different now than then. They listened to the fans and they went back to Cody instead of force feeding The Rock down their throat. The Rock was on board with it. They did the right thing. Old days, Vince would have been like, screw you, we're doing Roman versus The Rock, and we'll do Cody next year, and it'll be dead by then. AEW doesn't do that. They don't. Their fans, while also telling us to piss off and die because they love AEW, they're also criticizing it, and no one's listening and changing things up. What's the number one thing you hear from everyone? Doesn't even have to be an AEW detractor. It could be a diehard. What's the one thing they all say about that promotion?
There's a lot of things they say.
It's universal though. It's funny and it's true. It involves this.
Oh, that everybody has a belt?
You get a belt, you get a belt, you get a belt. So none of those belts mean fuck all. And even the world titles, almost all of them, with the exception of MJF and Kenny Omega and Paige, Jericho, Moxley, Samoa Joe, Swerve, all WWE guys. You got 37 pillars who have not been champion.
We get it. Again, this ain't the present. We got to go back to the past a little bit, TW. I understand. I know.
Compare the two.
We're comparing, but I don't want to turn it too much into the present. We got to still go back to 1997, and we still got to talk about the problems that you and I saw in 1997, the January 4th edition, the debut edition of WWF or WWE Shotgun Saturday Night. So let's just talk about that for a second, because again, the first thing you see for a debut episode is Bob Backlund in his goddamn 50s. Again, he's funny. We understand where Vince McMahon's humor is. That, Bob Backlund is the Opie Cunningham. He's the Opie Taylor. And he's supposed to be so pure of everything, pure of heart, pure of mind, pure of body, pure of soul, and all that stuff. And it's almost like he's bothered by being in New York City, in the trenches of New York City, in the gutters of New York City, while people are just waiting to get into the Mirage nightclub. That's one thing I noticed. Number two, what I noticed about this is I understood that for Vince McMahon, he wanted to keep it on the East Coast. And the premise of actually this show, TW, because again, this last, I think Shotgun Saturday Night lasted for like 3 years, give or take, like 3 or 4 years the most. And that's a lot. But the premise did not last for more than 6 weeks.
Right.
Because the initial plan you can look at it this way, TW. The initial plan was if they were going to keep it on the East Coast, this was where it's going to be. It was going to be in those nightclubs. It was going to be at Penn Station. It was going to be in these gritty areas. And he wanted to have that ECW vibe. But the problem is, and then, we kind of went into the AEW diatribes reflection nights, but the problem was you couldn't have that big-ass production truck. It's still dimly lit, and the production can only do so much, TW. It's almost like you're going to have to spend an extra $1 million on lighting alone just to get what
travel lighting.
Travel lighting, too. Then the second problem is he was going to try to do it live every Saturday at 11 o'clock. There's a problem with that, TW. Most of your top A-listers are on tour on a Saturday, unless they may be on the West Coast, maybe in Detroit, maybe in Florida. So somebody you got to take either your top tiers or your C levels to go back to the East Coast. So now that's travel cost. So that's also another problem. So TW, what say? Because again, on paper, it's a nice concept to do the shit in a nightclub in the gritty city, if you will. But again, the logistics just it wasn't cost effective. What say, TW, about the untapped potential, but then the realities of the logistics?
I'm going to tell you the thing I hated and the thing I liked.
Okay.
The thing I liked is probably something that others would hate. The hate is he's trying to do this crude and this ECW-like reality-based thing, and he starts off with the fucking flying nuns and implies that it's women fighting men for the first time in WWE, intergender match, men versus women. The men are the fucking god ones. So now you're perpetuating the stereotype that hillbillies beat their women because they're about to fight women. They're clearly not women. Then you add Brother Love to it. So what happens is you're trying to do this cool thing, and it's almost the same as the zombie being the first thing people see on ECW. It's off-putting because he's hanging on to kayfabe in a situation that's supposed to be making you feel like it's not kayfabe. That's what I hated. And then second, what I loved was, if you notice, and this was their answer to it, it was like an indie show because one match had the Godwins and Hillbilly Jim versus the Nuns, and then Brother Love, he came out and anointed them the
Sisters of Love.
Sisters of Love. And then the other match was Ahmed versus Crush. Then you had the Sultan versus Goldust. And then at the end, when I think the end was Ahmed versus Crush, when they were all beating.
The end was midgets.
Then you had the midgets. Strike them from what I'm saying.
Okay.
But the last match of regular guys in the gimmick was Ahmed. Now he's attacked by D-Lo, Clarence Mason, all these other guys. And the entire locker room empties out to help him. And it's the same 8 guys. So it's like they had an 8-man crew who were going to do that episode. So that's probably what they did, is they pulled someone from the house show tour. And these 8 guys are going to – I never watched Shotgun Saturday Night after this one, apparently, because I don't remember all this. I didn't even know it was supposed to be live. So what you have is you just have a crew that's going to get flown into New York or drive, worst case scenario. And those 8 guys are going to do the show. That's some shit I did at the same time for indies. You would have 8 matches, but you would have 6 wrestlers because you would have a tag match, singles match, and then everyone does a battle royal, and then maybe a women's match. And so you just had a small crew wrestling double duty and doing stuff to make it look like it was bigger than really what it was. But they only had like 8 guys there and the 2 midgets.
And another thing, TW, and if you didn't, I'm not saying you didn't notice this, but to have Shotgun Saturday Night and to have the boss there, Vince McMahon, it's not, we understand, again, you and I understand the untapped potential of Shotgun Saturday Night for it to feel gritty, to feel real, to feel raw, no pun intended, TW. But when the boss is there, you don't feel loose. Right. You don't feel comfortable. Right. You're like, Vince is here and it's got to look a certain way. If Vince wasn't involved, that's a lot of pressure. But if
you got green guys like D-Lo and the fucking headbangers who are hoping to God he's impressed enough that they got a job because they got this stupid gimmick that they're out there in, and thankfully it didn't last long. They were the headbangers not long after that, I think.
But you hear what I'm saying? Because again, like if Bruce Pritchard was like coordinating and kind of like directing the show, then you probably feel a little bit more comfortable, even though he's a Vince stooge. But with Vince McMahon there, these wrestlers on the loop, wherever you want to call it, TW, are not comfortable, and it showed. And then another problem, the next problem, TW, but you got to expound on this, because I would assume that in your Midwest tours that you have from Lima, Ohio, and all points in between, Timbuktu, and even Border City Wrestling, like you fought in these type of venues, right? You fought in the nightclub scene. So the ring is right there. It feels so big that, you have no room. It felt like two things that I noticed during these matches is like whatever you thought in your head to do in your coordinated spots or how to end the match itself, because I noticed this during the Headbangers Flying Nuts against the Godwins, like it was so small to do something that you thought in your head on paper that it just looked kind of weird on TV. So what's ETW about the restrictions of the ring and maybe the setup of a nightclub?
There's a bar not far from my house. It's actually closed down. They're about to tear down, turn something else there. But that bar, the ring was on the dance floor in front of the stage for where if there was a band. And the boys would sit on the stage, the commentator would be on the stage, but we would just sit there and watch. That's the other thing. Professionalism went out the window. We shouldn't be on the stage watching because it distracts from the ring, right?
Okay.
But there's this giant fucking disco ball in the middle of this fucking dance floor that's right by one of the corners. And then on top of it, because it ain't a very big ceiling, everything I did, and I was a top rope guy, I had to do off the second rope, and I still had to make sure I didn't fucking hit that damn disco ball or hit one of the rafters with my head if I jumped too high. So my frog splash is what made me so over as Calavera. Actually, I did it as Tommy Wonder first, but then I call it the Calavera Crunch. People fucking wanted to see it, so I had to figure out a way to do frog splash from the second fucking rope and not hit the ceiling when I fucking jumped up and did it, and it just sucked. I only ended up wrestling there a couple times because I'm like, this is going to hurt me more than it's going to help me, and it's fucking 30 people, so it's not like who gives a fuck. But you feel bad because Al Snow used to always say, whether there's 3 people or 300 people, you give them the same 100%, right? And that's fair. You should. Because you want those 3 people to turn into 30, and you want those 30 to turn into 300 and 300 into 3,000. And if you half-ass it because only 3 people showed up, who the fuck do you think is going to tell other people to come? Those 3 people are going to tell people, fucking don't bother, right? And so I felt that, like that one camera angle, it felt like there was a fucking ceiling, like right next to the ropes, and they still were doing shit, but it's so, and I thought they were in the same bar every week. I didn't know they did different bars.
They did different venues in the New York area. Like I said, they did Penn Station.
It was Sunday Night Heat that was at WWE New York, right?
Then they only did like one ring thing for Sunday Night Heat at WWE New York, but they never did that weekly.
I thought one of those shows was from WWE New York.
The commentary, not like it was a party thing. They only did like one match.
Watching party.
Yeah.
Got you.
But you understand what I'm saying, because during this episode, you could see the restrictions of the wrestlers, the restrictions of the cameraman.
I wrestled at a bar in Youngstown, Ohio, that Jerry the King Lawler was on, and the ring was a 20 by 20. You've heard me talk about WWE's ring is 20 by 20. WCW's is either 16 or 18 by 18 or 16 by 18. So most indie shows are 16 by 16 or 18 by 18. I wrestled at a fucking nightclub in Youngstown, Ohio, with a fucking 20 by 20 that I swear to you, it felt like it touched all 4 corners of the fucking bar. And then you have people sitting at the bar on this side, people sitting on the wall on this side. And there's really not a lot of room for fans other than the longer way. And same thing. I'm fucking wrestling, and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, first of all, I got to run that extra step because it's 20 by 20, which throws your timing off. And then second of all, I have to make sure I pick the right crisscross direction to go, because if not, a backdrop, someone's hitting the roof or hitting something hanging from the ceiling, and it just sucked. It was a fun atmosphere if the fans were into it, but it was a hard night at work, if you will.
It's one of the hardest sells to do the nightclub thing for a wrestling show, because you can tell, again, for me, I'm 20 years old in 1997 TW. So if this Shotgun Saturday Night was like, if it started at 8 and they were gonna you tape delay it and then start, broadcast it, I would have went. But I'm not gonna go all the way just to hang out. I'd rather dance. I'd rather try to get right. I want to get laid and all that stuff. And don't go with no Diddy jokes. But you know what I mean. I want to do all the good stuff that you're gonna do in your 20s, doing the bar and club scene. I don't want to go at 11 o'clock, like you said, for an hour, maybe an hour and a half. You're gonna have some dark matches that's not broadcast. Right. So you're trying to have a good experience.
The crowd, yeah.
Yeah. So it's for me, even being a wrestling fan, if it's not ECW, I'm not gonna do it. And of course, if it doesn't start at 8 o'clock, and then I know it's gonna end like maybe at 10 or 11,
and you might not get in because you're only 20.
There you go. That's another problem, another dilemma. Reflection. So let's talk about the first match. You kind of harped on it here, back and forth, but let's hone in on it. TW again. It's the Godwins with Hillbilly Jim against the Flying Nuns, who eventually would become the Headbangers, but they're called the Sisters of Love. TW, and they are managed
by Brother Love.
And they got ordained and managed by Brother Love. He made his infamous return. This was supposed to be one of those shocking returns. You did not expect it. But TW, let me ask you this. Even for this match and even for the return of Brother Love after years off of WWE TV, let's look at it this way. On Monday Nitro, you saw the return of Lex Luger. That's a big fucking deal. So for the debut episode of Shotgun Saturday Night, you see the return of Brother Love. It's not yin and yang. It's like, that's pork chops. That's a porterhouse steak. And what Brother Love represents is a pile of shit. That's what it is in terms of debuts, in terms of surprises. What say you about this debut opening match?
Between the fucking telling us it's women versus men, between Hillbilly Jim fucking being there, between Brother Love, it's the same shit and a different rapper is all it is. And it's like everything you're pitching it to be isn't. It's the same shit in a different bag. And I completely forgot that he came out. I remember the Nuns. And I thought they lost, but I think they won, didn't they? Didn't Brother Love?
No, the Flying Nuns, they won. They won with the help of Brother Love. He hit Phineas with the Bible, and then that's how they got the win.
And I remember seeing it live. I didn't know it was the Headbangers right away, and then I was like, "Holy shit, that's the Headbangers!" And immediately felt bad for them. But why feel bad for them? It works out. But yeah, the Godwins and Hillbilly Jim. It was so fucking rockin' wrestling in a nightclub, and then Lawler, Brother Love coming out and being exactly the same. If he's Brother Love in a nightclub, have him fucking come in there dressed like Al Pacino and cruising, fucking with a leather cap, like he's got a secret life after the church nightlife, But it's just the same. It was regurgitated trash. It was garbage, man. There's not. The only good thing is Sonny and Marlena. That's it.
Well, we'll get into that in just a second, Reflection Ice, because after that match, again, let me put a bow on the Flying Nuns, because again, what was supposed to be eclectic, what was supposed to be original was like the vignettes of what wrestlers did in the city. So that was supposed to be another original thing. So what did the Flying Nuns do? They had to go to the St. Patrick's Cathedral in Midtown to get ordained or to get blessed, or whatever the case may be, by the cardinal or whatever. I don't get the joke. I understand it. I just don't get the joke. I didn't laugh. When I was 20. I didn't even laugh when I was watching this just to review the notes. That's the problem right there. So now you said one thing, TW, that was prevalent even to this episode here, because you said that in your nightclub experience, you sat on the stage. For the wrestlers in this club, there is no locker rooms. There was a VIP lounge. So all the segments that they were doing was at the WWE VIP lounge, or the guys that were, forced by Vince McMahon to get off the house show tour and just sit there, And the only one that didn't, from the debut episode, that didn't work was The Rock, Rocky Maivia. He had a free night. He got paid just to sit in the VIP lounge. But in the VIP lounge, what do we see? We see an interaction between Bob Backlund, Goldust, and Marlena, because again, Bob Backlund is trying to, save the souls of everybody in New York City. And of course, what does Marlena represent? Hell, her cleavage is out. She's provocative. She's sexual and all this stuff, TW. But again, it's temptation. That's a good word, because that's, God bless T-Bolt's right there. He knows not to go be tempted. He's pure of thought, pure of everything. But anyway, that's where the premise of the next, match happens between the Sultan, who is managed by Bob Backlund, and the Iron Sheik. Iron Sheik, Mr. Haktui himself, got a free night. He was not going to get the plane ride. Vince McMahon is not going to pay for everybody. He only paid for Bob Backlund. But it was the Sultan against Goldust and Marlena. Again, the match is plain and mundane, TW. But again, to represent that too, but to represent how different it's going to be in comparison to Monday Night Raw, even though Monday Night Raw was supposed to be uncooked and all that stuff, it was supposed to be raw. It's supposed to be raw. But here, this is the only thing that made people say, okay, well, maybe Shotgun Saturday Night's worth it. And if you went there and you had the good angle, okay, well, we'll see what happens. But in the end, TW, Goldust wins. I don't know if he wins. I think it's more of a no contest. But at the end,
I think he got counted out.
It's hard to tell because, again, the ring is too big and the outside is too small.
Too fucking dark.
And too fucking dark. Absolutely, TW. But at the end, Marlena regurgitates what Miss Elizabeth did in SummerSlam 88. But the only difference was she pulled her dress down to show her. She did not show her nipples, Reflectionites. She had pasties under the. I know that. I can guarantee you that. Mr. McMahon is, he might be, crude, and he might be again, pedophile and all that, and rapist and all this stuff. But he made sure that she wore pasties on her nipples. But anyway, TW, what say you? Again, that was supposed to be the representation of Shotgun Saturday Night with what Marlena did. That's the only thing.
It's the one thing that people talked about in a good way after it happened. Like, people want to watch every week now, hoping Sable will do it, and Sonny will do it, and whoever else will do it. In your case, Miss McMahon will do it. And so people were watching.
My case, that's your case. That's JB's
if you were
case.
paying attention. But you were pulling at me, looking at your phone, so I was seeing if you were paying attention. But that was the one good thing. And then when I say Sonny getting in the ring later on is dumb. But Sonny being there was good, is what I meant by those are the only two redeeming things there. Because Ahmed Johnson, I can promise you, anyone that saw him wrestle that night would have been fine not seeing him wrestle. At this point, I would say
don't jump ahead. Don't jump ahead.
I know. I'm just saying,
because
Marlena, you asked me about Marlena saved any source. Like, instead of saying it was 100% shit, you say it's 98% shit because of that 2%, 1%, and 2% right here of Marlena flashing the crowd, and people pop for it.
And because of what Marlena did, it got Sonny so hot that she promised on the next edition of Shotgun Saturday Night that she would produce a sex video for everybody to see next week. And
how clairvoyant.
Well, truth be told, I remember episode 2. That was nothing but just dribble and bullshit. Either two. She was just in a bed. Nobody. It was neither or. No, if it was Sunny Days, it would probably been something I want to see. But again, it was just regurgitating. It was like you said, regurgitating certain bad jokes and all that stuff. It just, the double entendres. If you do it right, I can laugh. But if you're doing it just to try to get a cheap pop, it doesn't work, Reflectionites. That's why they were lagging behind. So now we get into TW's favorite spot of the night, the favorite match of the night, and TW's main. It was TW's main event. It actually wasn't the main event, but Ahmed Johnson and his war with the Nation of Domination, and he goes one-on-one against Crush. TW, again, I have to go back to the ambiance of the nightclub scene, the ambiance of how small everything is. When you have the Nation of Domination, you have like 10 people, 10 dudes in suits, plus D'Lo Brown and Clarence Mason and Crush. It makes for a small area. It just makes it terrible.
Is PG-13 there?
No, they weren't. Vince McMahon's smart not to pay everybody to travel, because then you need people to be at the house shows. You got to pay your A-listers. But anyway, you understand the problem there. A small, dimly lit area, and then you got 10 people in suits doing the Nation gimmick against Ahmed Johnson. I had a problem with this match, TW. And you even said it with Ahmed Johnson, but the funny thing was not about the match per se. The funny thing was about the no-selling, because, again, with the small ring, Ahmed Johnson got hit by a chair to the head.
To the fucking dome.
To the fucking dome. And then this motherfucker, Reflectionist, I kid you not, takes it to the dome. And, he does a Super Cena. He does a Hulk Hogan. He hulks up. He gets mad and chases the Nation of Domination outside on 57th Street. And then he almost kills D'Lo Brown on a pickup truck, whether it's rented or not. Because if you look at that spot Reflection, and TW could attest to this, I don't know if Ahmed Johnson was either A, prepared for how heavy D'Lo Brown is at that point in juncture, and B, how small the pickup truck was on the top, because he almost lost his footing. Because if he fell back, two things could have happened. D'Lo could have got paralyzed, and then Ahmed Johnson would have kind of like hurt his butt, if you will, because he would have fell back, or maybe he could have hit the back of his head on the concrete and really sold better, TW. So what say you about the whole ambiance of the match and even the outside bullshit?
Well, the simple round it up, tie it on the low bow is Ahmed Johnson is the drizzling shits. So it doesn't matter. The truck was bigger, smaller. He's not good. The only thing I kept thinking,
he was Booker T before Booker T became something. You got to admit that.
Booker T always had it.
No, but that was Vince McMahon. That was his Booker T before Booker T they even tried to say that Booker T had it.
He's fucking Ryback before Ryback is what fucking Ahmed Johnson is.
He's Blackback. He's not Ryback. He's Blackback.
Ryback. Black. And I got his facial hair right now. I didn't notice until we started talking about him. So the funny thing for me in this match is it's Crush, who's Nation of Domination, versus Ahmed, who inevitably is Nation of Domination, with D'Lo doing a run-in to help Crush, which later on he's with Ahmed Johnson. And then you said The Rock's in the back. I didn't even catch that, who also became Nation of Domination. So this whole show is just Nation of Domination, people in their past, present, and future. And it was so, first of all, the fact that there's a version of Crush that makes me long for the fucking Crush that wrestled Macho Man at WrestleMania 5 or 6, whichever one, that horrible ass match they had.
WrestleMania 10. WrestleMania 10.
Yeah, that one. To make that Crush come back, that's pretty bad. And I like him with Adam Bomb as whatever the fuck they were called, Wraith.
Chronic.
I liked him as Chronic. Let me rephrase that. They ain't in my top 50 tag teams, but they had a good look. But this look, and then it broke off into 4 different fucking gangs. It was like someone said, "Hey man, that's not how it is in prison. In prison, this guy would hang out with a bunch of people that look like him." So then you got Los Bariquas out of it. You got the Chain Gang. You got fucking.
Remember, Nation of Domination splintered into all that afterwards. Right, but this was the first incarnation, and then the first war.
That version of Crush is hands down the worst version of Crush, and that's saying something because we had the fucking Kona Crush with no face paint was worse than the one that had a little bit of face paint. But Crush as Demolition was money.
This is like battle scars for you, TW. You got PTSD by looking at Crush because you're remembering every gimmick of Crush that either you liked or tolerated. You just cannot tolerate 1997 Nation of Domination Crush.
Horrible. It's horrible. It's worse than Kona Crush. And Crush's Demolition was money. Crush's Chronic was money. But Crush any other version in the in-betweens, and God rest his soul, man. I don't know what he dealt with to do what he did, but this might have paid some role in it. Fucking Ahmed didn't sell my headshot.
So let me ask
Tony Norris' fault, damn it.
Well, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to try to keep it within the show. But anyway, TW, you have to at least talk about it from the wrestler sense, because again, you've been in the nightclub. You did wrestle in the nightclub scene, so for them to want to remember in ECW, I remember that at the ECW arena, even though it's small and all that stuff and compact, they chose to do shit outside of the ECW arena because again, the fans traveled back, went to the back areas. They opened the doors and they allowed the wrestlers to go freely, do like hurricane runners from a car and all that stuff. They picked, whether it was rented or not, they chose to do that spot, TW. So what say you as the wrestler? I mean, would you want to do that? Would you want to risk your own health yourself to do a spot on the truck? Or maybe would you want to do a your Calavera crunch off a station wagon off the top of the hood onto maybe Rico? Would you want to do that for yourself?
I probably would have done it. Yeah, I'm an idiot, and I probably would have done it. It would have fit our gimmick to be doing shit like that and steal a hubcap on the way out. This is after Brett was a good guy in Canada and a bad guy in the U.S., right? So Ahmed was kind of a big deal.
This is before.
Is it 97? Survivor Series is when he left?
This is January 1997.
So it's
what you're talking about is the summer of Brett.
Okay, I thought it was before that. So Ahmed's not really nothing yet.
No, Ahmed is something. But this is him coming back from, like, I think he had like a supposedly career-ending injury, and then he took some time off TV, and this was his big push into this program with.
We're gonna send him down to Les Thatcher and teach him how to do a fucking arm lock.
Whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and he's another one like the Honky Tonk Man. It's just, to this day, a bitter motherfucker. Doesn't know how good he had it. Rye Black is perfect. That's because Ryback's probably the biggest idiot in the last 15 years. But this guy preceded him. He and Honky Tonk before him. Just ungrateful fucking people. I don't get it. Me and you would take that job for a quarter of the pay, and we would fucking done it with a smile. Yeah, these guys all got something to bellyache about, and it's just sad. Sad.
Some people have their principles, TW. You can't deny that. If you work on your principles,
you call principles, I call delusions of grandeur. These guys thought they were better than they were.
Tomato. But anyway, TW, again, you said that you probably would do a spot off the card. The safety factor.
I would fucking botch it like him, but I would have done it.
But again, what's the motive? What would be the motivation of the rest of wanting to do this?
You already said it. The fucking boss is in the house. You're doing that shit, so that guy appreciates you doing that shit. And you're doing it on your own. You're not being forced to do it. He asked you to do it. Someone told him to do that spot, because they're not just going to go fuck some truck up on the fucking Fifth Avenue and just fucking backdrop to a truck and go cry me a river. They're not doing it. Someone okayed that shit. They rented that fucking truck or took it from a prop site, whatever they did. And if you say no, it's probably going to have some repercussions. However, you're still allowed to say no.
Did D'Lo tell you that he was going to do that spot before or after when you corresponded with him in '97?
I don't know how long I probably didn't see D'Lo for a couple of years after he finally went there. I'd seen him when he was still at Smoky Mountain, but when he finally went to WWE and was in the Nation, I think I saw him once or twice. Giving him the attaboy, like, all right, man, good for you.
You mean you didn't have the Zach Morris phone and D'Lo didn't have the Zach Morris phone?
We didn't have fucking phones yet, dude.
You had the Zach Morris big ass phone. You didn't have the Zach Morris big ass phone.
I got my first phone probably in 98, 99.
Just saying.
But we emailed. That's how I kept in touch with Edge when he was out with his neck surgery. We emailed all the time. But God bless them both. They went on to become big deals, and they may or may not have forgotten the guys they came up with. But both of them to this day.
What was your email address? CalaveraCortez@AOL.com?
I don't remember what my AOL was. I think it was Tommy Wonder at AOL.com. His was Edge-O-Rama. It's not anymore. I know that. That's when I lost touch with him. He gave me a new one.
You're serious? Edge-O-Rama at AOL.com?
Edge-O-Rama, like fucking... What the fuck's that show called where they got the Batmobile there? Autorama.
Yeah, that sounds like a To Catch a Predator email address, man. That's bad.
Well,
that's
he
way
always
bad.
say Edge-O-Matic, so you would think that would be it, but it was Edge-O-Rama. I'll never forget it because it was fucking funny to me.
Wow. But anyway, let's close on this show, TW. What?
Let me say this so I don't sound like Rye Black or Rye Back. To this day, if I run into D'Lo and Edge, they are nothing but awesome to me when they see me. It's just... We just didn't keep in touch like we had been. And,
No, I assumed that you had the Zach Morris phone. That's all.
No, I know, but they're both, I couldn't tell you last time I saw Edge, but it wasn't that far long ago. And I seen D'Lo fairly recently within the last few years. And Rhino, I usually see once every year or two. They're all still awesome when they see me. They don't big time me. They don't do any of that shit. So I don't want to make it sound like that's what they did. D'Lo, for a minute there, did have little issues with D'Lo because I felt like he was like, fuck all of us, the people that, because it was me, him, D'Lo, it was me, D'Lo, Casey, and Wayne. We did everything together. The four of us almost moved to Barbados together. And you know who did move to Barbados together?
Who?
Edge, Christian, and Val Venus. They all had their own houses there. Me, D'Lo, me, D'Lo, and Wayne and Casey were all going to do that, but stay in the same place. We didn't have their money to live alone.
I would say it's more of a technology disability that you
Absolutely.
had. If you had the phones, and again, AOL was not at its phoenix, even in You Got Mail, all that stuff. It took like 2 weeks to get your You Got Mail. And how was your wrestling show? Like, man, that was 2 weeks ago. It just went through. The email just went through. Right. If you didn't have the right buffering, if you didn't have the right connection for AOL, you were screwed. That's not even making a joke. That's a bad sound, because again, if you didn't have the right connection, your emails did not get sent in the matter of seconds like it is right now. We are spoiled right now, Reflectionites. But again,
instant messenger was a big fucking deal. Now everything is instant message.
Absolutely. But let's close on this TW with the main, even though it's not a main event, but it was a main attraction. Again, this is another example of Vince McMahon's kind of witty humor, that he thought he can close Shotgun Saturday Night with midgets. Mascarilla Sagrada against Mini Vader. And of course, during the match, I think before the match, Sonny got up into the ring to do the Macarena. And then they showed a vignette of Mini Vader and Jim Cornette trying to find a bathroom at the Port Authority bus terminal. That's where I go, TW. If you ever know, that's my hub right there of getting in and out from Jersey to New York all the time. That's me. I should be at the front door like this. Hey, but anyway, neither here nor there. But
Ray's gig.
No, that's my gig. Port Authority is my gig. Ray got his own gig. But
the greeting is Ray's gig.
Yeah, I ain't going there. But anyway, neither here nor there.
I want a discount, Ray. When you listen to this, I want a discount. Is it a hotel or apartments?
No, he does the apartments right now. He doesn't have that gig yet. He's got to move to Florida to get that gig.
Sneak me into a vacant one.
We'll see. But anyway, TW, what do you say about the midget attraction match? Again, this is Vince McMahon's humor. This really has nothing to do with it's raw, it's gritty, it's supposed to be next level ECW shit or next level, reality shit like the NWO on WCW. This is cartoonish shit. I mean, even cartoon porn has its limits, and this ain't even cartoon porn. What say you about Mascarilla Sagrada against Mini Vader?
Joey Legend was a fan of the midget porn, but anyways,
I'm a fan too. I like it.
I am a strong proponent of people got to make a living. They got to put food on the table. I have never in my life, maybe the closest was WrestleMania 3, but even then it made me cringe when Bundy did the big elbow. I've never.
That made me laugh, and that made me go.
Right, and then you feel like an asshole for laughing at him, right?
Never did.
Midgets never got done right in wrestling, man. They got Rey Mysterio is the biggest of the midgets, and he got lawn darted by Kevin Nash, right? So
that's low.
And I don't even say this from a PC woke place where there's a couple different nothing but midget wrestling, like micro league. They call it micro now instead of midget, because midget's an insult, which is fucked up. Because every fucking one I ever met on the show said, "Hey, I'm one of the midget wrestlers." Had no fucking problem with it, but Karen did, so now we can't say fucking midget no more. Well, I just said it about 7 times, but you know what I'm saying.
Of course.
So, but it's just, to make it the main event, why don't you just tell everybody to fucking leave? Because that's what happens. No one's staying. It's not funny anymore, Vince. It was funny when them motherfuckers were running around with Dorothy and Toto, because it was fucking crazy to see that many of them together. Now, you see them every fucking, there's probably not been a month in my life that I haven't seen one.
And the funny thing about this match, Reflectionites and TW, if you notice this, is you even said the word regurgitation. Like, you're regurgitating a spot that was meant for Bobby the Brain Heenan. And no doubt about Jim Cornette can carry that kind of load, but Jim Cornette was not even the top manager, even in 1997, in the world of professional wrestling. And even in the WWE, he was not even the top manager. He was just, he was willing, but it didn't feel big enough. Because if it happened to Bobby Heenan, we would laugh. It means something. It's Jim Cornette, and you're trying to recapture something that even Jim Cornette cannot do. And even Jim Cornette did not even like doing
more
this.
Of the same shit that Vince supposedly letting go of, he's fucking double downing on.
And even Jim Cornette does not like this shit. You and I know Jim Cornette just enough.
I would
just enough.
Motivation for Jim Cornette was, this is a new show. If him and Brother Love and Hillbilly and Bob Backlund, if they make this shit work, good things are coming their way. That's why I think they're there doing their thing. Other than that, Why would you even want to be a part of it? In hindsight, I bet you none of them want to be a part of it, including the motherfucking headbangers.
No, the Flying Nuns. Yes, they do. They want to be there because
not have to ever say we were the Flying Nuns. Is my point.
I'm just saying they want to be there because that was the biggest check they got. You said you saw them a couple. Right.
Get in on the ground floor and make something special that never got fucking special.
If you go from $50 to $500 on 11 o'clock at night, you gotta take it. I hate to say I want to be a Flying Nun. Yeah, and an open bar tab. I'll do it too.
Fuck yeah, I would have done it too.
I would have.
Just wouldn't have told nobody.
So with that being said, there's nothing left to say. Again, the midget match.
You got a question.
What's that?
I thought the mini Vader looked a lot like Vader. His body type was almost the same, but I feel like he was also a little mini Savio Vega too. Was it the same guy?
It's not Savio. That's a midget, man. It was a midget.
Savio Vega had a mini Savio one time on Raw or something. I think it's the same guy.
I don't recall all the midgets that Vince McMahon employed, except Little Beaver, Little Haiti Kid, and all that stuff.
You're going
Little Brooke. Yeah, that's the 80s.
Just name WrestleMania 3. Little T.
Little Tokyo. I remember all those people, but I don't remember. I only remember Masquerade Sagrada, and I remember many. But
like a fucking Power Ranger.
That was his gimmick. But he was He's still one of the most popular Mexican midget wrestlers out there right now.
Today?
Yes.
27 years ago, was he 8?
It was probably what he started. You know how Mexican wrestlers start when they're like 16, 17. So give or take, if he's in his 20s, you can still make it. You can still do shit in your 50s. You can defy the laws of. You can still defy the laws of physics. But anyway, we close on this. But TW, before we close officially, any lasting words about what Shotgun really should have been and could have lasted as long as Raw has for 30 years, could have lasted as long as SmackDown has for 25 years and all that stuff. I don't know if it had a shelf life more than 3 or 4 years per se.
You would have to really, really, really make it seem special so that kids younger than the bar age would be looking forward to turning bar age to go see it. I think that's your hardest part right there. But I think in order for it to have succeeded, Vince can be nowhere near it. Creatively, on screen, at all. It should have been the guys. It should have been NXT. It should have been the guys who weren't getting a crack on Raw or SmackDown if it was even out yet. I don't think it came out till 2000s. But the guys who weren't getting shots on TV should have been that show. And they should have built a cult following. And I'll tell you, even then, I don't think it would have made it. Because you know who did this better? Wrestling Society X. And that shit didn't take off. Granted, it didn't have the WWE machine behind it. But that was a well-lit, gritty, bar scene type situation. But they made it too.
And Lucha Underground, TW, was gritty.
I'm not familiar with Lucha Underground, but that Wrestling Society X, it almost came across as like, I don't want to say hee-haw, but whatever that laughing, whatever that show was, where people were like, hi, I'm Bill Murray. Hi, I'm this. It had that kind of hokey shit to it, the Wrestling Society X, because I remember Teddy Hart being on there. And it felt like that really, really bad live action Justice League fucking acting, the Hall of Justice or whatever. And then they had Legion of Doom had their underground swamp fucking version of it. It had potential. It did not get tapped.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think this could have lasted a long time. Could have been like an NXT-esque type of show. Again, the problem is, I wouldn't call it a problem, TW. Again, it's 11 o'clock at night. So you can get away, you can try to get away with a lot of stuff. And you're not, it's not like at that time, it's like, well, if it's not Austin going to be on the show, I'm not going to watch the show regardless. I want to watch it for a different reason. I want to watch the grittiness of it. Steve Austin and Bret Hart are prime time people. Like, you're right. The Godwins and even the Flying Nuns and the Sisters of Love, these are the 11 o'clock rejects. You got to put the rejects on. That's what made EC. That's what made me stay up at 2 o'clock in the morning to watch the rejects, even though the rejects were grade A quality of RVD and Taz and Tommy Dreamer and all that stuff. But that was my rejects. That was my reasoning to stay up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'll guarantee you,
they look like guys you wouldn't see on Raw.
Right. And I guarantee you that 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning had better ratings than Shotgun Saturday Night. And with that being said,
hold on. What it should have been was what became about a year and a half later. Almost that year. is the Attitude Era. If that show would have been like the Attitude Era, it may never even have needed the Attitude Era because that show would have been it and just grew. But
again, remember, he was home. It wasn't morphed into the Attitude Era just yet. He was still, again, behind the times and still stubborn to a fault. He's trying to like change and adapt. Even though Stone Cold Steve Austin is there since '96, he's the only one saying all the cuss words. Everybody else is still tagging along and doing the cartoon shit, but only Stone Cold is doing this shit. So the Attitude Era
started after the screw job, right?
To a degree, but it started in '97. It kind of like manifested in summer of '97 of DX. But anyway, with that being said, we close on this episodic edition, episode 185. TW, we are 15 episodes away from the elusive 200. And TW, I'm going to give you a gift.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to give you a week off because I think we deserve it because we've been chugging these episodes week in and week out. And you deserve a week off. So we'll be back in 2 weeks. We might do another episodic. We might do a rivalries. We might do a what if. We might do a spotlight. And you know what? I might be itching to do a movie again. I think, maybe the Iron Claw. I don't know. I'm just saying we might have to do. No, you don't. You're not excited.
Fucking movie's bummer, dude. You can't.
Well, we might have. You said when you watched it that we would have to do it, and I said you're right.
We'd have to do it when I told you I watched it.
I'm just saying. We gonna have to do it. It's our job.
Are there any wrestling movies that are USA 4th of July themed?
We already did that with Bad Guys. That was a long time ago.
Rocky 2, motherfucker, whatever one. 3, Thunder Lips.
No. Again, I will work on it. I'm not saying we're gonna do a movies. Just let me do it. You got the week off. We'll be back in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Reflection Night. So TW, give out those socials so we can get out of here.
Fucking signing off. Alrighty, the Pro Wrestling Probationary Coalition Network sponsors us at PWC Network at podbean.com. where you can also find Hameen Media Group at podbean.com, as well as HMG at channelattitude.com. Our show on the X is at PW Reflection. We talked about both JB and Travis. You can find JB at the P1JB and at Nuts and Bolts PW, VOELTZ PW for Travis Volts. You can find Big Ray every Wednesday live on the Next Level podcast on X, right? Or is that
YouTube?
It is YouTube. And other than that, you can find them everywhere at the handle at Big Ray Hernandez. All social media platforms. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at TommyWonder19. Snapchat is #Wonder. Facebook.com/TommyWonder. My other X and TikTok is at TheTommyWonder. And you can find Big Vito and Noel at Big Vito Brand on TikTok. And you can catch the early release of the Reflection video at Big Ray Hernandez on X.
And you can find me on my Xer at PWSOPROF. That's PWSOPROF. And if this gets uploaded by another slow-ass motherfucker on probation, A-Track Brown, it could be on the PWS YouTube networks. Follow my brothers in arms, A-Track Brown, the king of the reactions at the #8, TRAC Brown, and the man that hosts the Wednesday Locker Room, Billy Ray Valentine at OB1, you know me. And again, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Again, I don't know what we're going to do, episodic, what-ifs, movies, rivalries.
How many weeks are left in the year?
How many? Don't give me math questions right now.
We got... There's 52 in a year. We're about to be done with the first 6, so there's 26 weeks left in the year after we take this week off.
Give or take.
And we're 15 away from it. So let's make a deal. Now, to the end of the year, the new year, we will hit 200 episodes. So we got to do 15 episodes between now and the end of the year and 10 episodes of other shit.
I will try. I'm not going to promise anything. But anyway, with
this is New Year's present.
He's on. He's still catching up. He's still on 2022. He won't even know what you just said right now until 2027. But again, he loved Donnie Day One. But again, with that being said, I'm the professor. That's Mr. Wonderful, Dum Idiots Own, the Iron Stomach One, and the Detroit Rock City Universal Heavyweight Champion of the World. Tommy Wonder saying good night, and we'll see you next time. And I see the thumbs up. Next time in 2 weeks on the PWR podcast at the Hameen Media Group at podbean.com. Peace.
Aloha, brother.
Well, that's not even back then.